Hello and welcome to Military Mantra. In this interview, we have today's Squadron Leader Megha Punia, who have served in Indian Air Force for close to 14 years. And in this interview, we'll try to understand her journey of joining Indian Air Force, life within Indian Air Force as an officer, and various life lessons that she has learned over her service. So thank you for coming on this interview, ma'am, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Akash. Thanks for inviting me over.
Ma'am, if you can start telling us, how did your journey of joining Indian Air Force begin, and what motivated you back then to join the force?
All right. So the journey was a very thrilling one because, joining Air Force would be, any youth's dream. But what did drive me actually was, when I was in class 11th, I remember. So there was this annual day of my school, the Avati Modi Academy. So there, a batch of Air Force officers, they came. They were basically passed out. They passed out from the same school, and they had come for a motivation lecture. And during the interaction, I was so mesmerized with the fact, that yes, this is the career I would want to pursue. And I had been like school head girl and so-called leadership qualities that we as youngsters used to think that yes, these are required. So they were all present in me. I always wanted to lead by example, the head girl, and always best in academics, best in extracurricular. So that is where the journey started. But NDA is still isn't there for girls. So I had to complete my graduation. So the moment I completed my graduation, I that time there was this system. If you had scored above 75%, you were called directly for the SSB. Over the years, it changed. Now everybody has to undergo the CDS or the AFCAT exam. But when I appeared in 2005, I was called directly for the SSB because my percentage in class in graduation was close to 80. So we went there to Dehradun. That time, when I went for that SSB, I already was working after Doordarshan with HDFC Bank. So because I lost my father at a very young age. So I had been working throughout. So yes, I was very excited, and we went there during the SSB. For giving the SSB. So that is how, basically that one incident that happened in school, those officers coming and me getting mesmerized with the uniform and what they did talk about, aerial security, because we as youngsters always used to think that, Forge is all about army, defense is all about army. The combats, the guns. No, it was way beyond. And then we were explained that how, apart from being a pilot, there are a number of other branches, which are about part of active operations.
Okay.
And that is how, I ended up being into one operational branch called fighter controlling.
Got
So
it.
that is how I decided to join, and I did clear my SSB in my very first attempt. So I would not say that I had prepared, I had gone for coaching, and no, my life has taught me all the leadership qualities. So this was my upbringing, and how in school I was, my teachers, so they molded me like that. So probably.
Ma'am, you spoke about your SSB. So, ma'am, if you could tell us how was the experience? You went to Dehradun, AFSB Dehradun. How did you prepare for all these tests that we have, psychology, GTO, and the interview? And what tips you would like to give to aspirants who wants to go to SSB and get selected or recommended?
So this is a very important question, in fact, because students these days are very serious about SSB because the rejection rate is very high. Rejection rate is very high because there are certain traits. They're called as officer-like qualities. Basically, 29 traits are there that are divided into 5 subgroups. But what is being tested is the officer-like qualities, the leadership skills that fall under various brackets. Your intellectual, social, social adaptability is one of the it's one of the most important trait that is tested in SSB, and we never thought that, So these are all tested via a series of tests, that are they are developed by DIPR, Defense Institute Psychological Research Center. So they have a science behind it. So first and foremost, it is the basic, a test wherein analytical and logical reasoning questions, basically to, segregate the serious ones and the non-serious ones, I guess so. And immediately on the first day, there is called picture perception test. That is there, picture perception and discussion test, wherein, a picture is shown and you have to assimilate your thoughts, and then there's a group discussion happens. So this test seems very simple, but in 5 minutes the basic psychology of the candidate is tested, that how a candidate can perform under stress. That is one. How can you trigger your thought process, your active thinking in those, 30 seconds when the picture is shown to you? How do you assimilate? What do you think? And when you're performing under pressure, your actual personality comes out. You cannot be, framing the answers and presenting them there. So the basic purpose is, how a candidate can perform, can think, and garner all the traits that are required to be tested within, that limited time. So yes, that was the first test, and that was one of the very important, because the major chunking happens on the first day based on this picture perception and discussion test. Then there are psychological tests. There are GTO, group testing test, field and classroom test. It is segregated in both. And then there's this interview, right? Personal interview. And then happens the conference. So during the first 2 days, the group testing tasks, wherein the group skills, how you perform in a group, are tested through classroom, like group discussions and all, and also on the ground, wherein your physical fitness and how you perform within a group. There are tasks given, like situations are given, and you have to find solution, and then there's command tasks. So whenever a candidate is preparing, if a candidate is wanting really to take assistance, guidance, one, first and foremost, always take it from a very authentic, an officer who is served into the system can only tell how the system works. What is misguiding the youth today is, the students just go anywhere and everywhere, and anyone and everyone cannot understand what is the psychology and what is the science behind SSP. So this is very, very important. That is why the rejection rate is very high. There are certain tutors who just, students go there, they score very well in their written, but they rectify the, that
Responses.
SES stories, stories like this will come, you just rattle it out. But that doesn't happen like this. The pictures change, and when you are tested under pressure, in real life also, the real personality comes out. What you really are, it actually comes out. And that is what happens, then by the time a candidate goes for group discussion and all, if he's not prepared and all those qualities are actually not a part of his or her real self, the students give up, and they lose out unnecessary, and they lose out on the chance. So yes, three aspects that are very important for a candidate to be prepared on are: one is the psychology, that is tested through situation reaction test. The several situations are shown, and you have to tell how you are going to react. So this is not to really learn how in a particular situation you are going to react. Basically, that tells that how, when you are under pressure in real life, you're going to react, how as a person you are. Because though all three forces are like that, wherein split-second decisions are important, but specifically if I talk about Air Force, in Air Force, when it is about aerial security, a life is there, an aircraft is flying, and the life of a pilot, when you're controlling on ground, it's about life. So those split-second decisions, and to prepare to be there, you have to have those qualities: handling pressure, taking responsibility, ownership, social adaptability, how to perform under that high kind of stress and pressure. So basically, these are tested. But they're not sacrosanct, Akash. Let me tell you, there's another misnomer that, if you have those traits and you perform up to that optimum level, you will be selected. No. Even if there are factors, which the traits, if a candidate shows that, he or she is adaptable, can change, can garner those skills during the various rounds of, all these SRTs or the psychological tests, GTO tests and all. If a candidate shows the capability to, learn all those skills, that also, that candidates also stands very high chance of selection.
Okay, got it.
So this is also again a misnomer amongst the candidate, that if we're not able to perform in one and we don't have uh, a particular trait, will be rejected. No,
Got it. Ma'am, I
not at
guess
all.
the role of academy then plays a very important role here, because they select based on these qualities, and then the same should be groomed as well in the academy. So if you could tell us, how was your life in the academy, and how grooming happened, and any memorable instance that you have from the academy which you would like to share.
So, out of all my 14 years in Air Force, including a year in academy, what I miss the most, and what I remember the most and cherish the most is my 1 year in academy. So it was epic, because we went there, from the train to the gate of the academy. We were all thrilled to see the gate. But the moment you are inside the gate, your physical fitness and your grooming and grilling starts, you know but it's in a very different way, not what we, as candidates we think that it'll be like a college. You go, there are timings. No, there is, you are mostly running, your bicycles are mostly over your shoulders rather than you riding them. So you're always running, rolling, all those physical, basically endurance. They are making you more endurable. You can endure more, you can learn more, you can develop more, because when we are stretched to the maximum of our physical or mental capabilities, that is when we perform the best. So that is what is actually done in academy. You have limited sleeping hours, and then there is the written, there is theory and on ground training, all mixed. And then there is a drill session wherein you wear those boots. And let me tell you, every part, the moment you are in your physical, your PT rig, you're a different, you might feel, you're different. But the moment you are in your drill boots, you wear that uniform, jitna bhi tired a candidate might feel, it automatically that you feel fresh, you feel different, you feel disciplined. The sound of those boots while on the drill ground, on the parade ground, it brings that discipline naturally into the candidate. So that is how it is difficult, because physically we are not prepared. That is why a candidate is tested so meticulously through a very rigorous way, in a very rigorous testing way during SSB, because the student, the cadet should be able, when once into the academy, should be able to take that pressure and still perform. Because and as they say, the more you sweat and peace, the less you would breathe in war. So that is how, once you're out of the academy, you're all prepared. So yes, there will be a lot of running around, there'll be a lot of physical, I won't say ragra, but yes, PRC, we used to call it a ragra session, getting up at early morning hours and jumping. There is one, every fear, letting go of your fears. There is this one test wherein you have to clear your swimming, and
Okay.
you have to there's this fear endurance test, wherein there are from 5 meter, from 7.5 meter and 10 meter, there's to jump into the pool. So there are students who have fear of height, but then you have to clear all those tests. And then there is cross country, there are parade, there is, you have to clear all your written exams. However tired you are throughout the day, if it's a study session, you have to put your lights on and you have to be studying, and the instructors take ground at 10 o'clock in the night, the lights are out. You
Got it.
just can't even go and be seen around, or else you'll be found rolling. So this is how a physically fit and a mentally agile officer is basically groomed, because all that training makes us you're capable of taking any kind of facing any kind of situation that life might bring in front of us. So that is
Got it.
how it was. And uh, though I have a lot of memories of the training, but yes, there was one that I really remember was, I had this fear of height. All right. And but I had cleared all my tests in my first attempt, and I was like, and I was first in order of merit in my course, so I topped my course. But this one test was, I had to clear it in first attempt. But when, for a person who actually had fear of height, though all the fears, they vanish. But then, when I reached at that 5 meter scale, and to have to jump into the pool from 5 meter, from 7.5, it looks like you are committing actually, you don't know you'll be alive or not. So that, I used to go, and in the first 2 attempts, I was not able to jump. I was like, no, I cannot. And there was nothing like, no, you cannot. So my instructor, my instructor, he was like, Megha, you're absolutely good in everything. This is just your mental fear. It is just your mental block. You have to just clear it. See that medal in front of you. You're doing so good. It's like end of your course. And then, I used to wake up early. I used to, between 3 to 4, before 4 o'clock, generally the day starts in academy. During the initial day, it even starts at 2 o'clock. You have to be so mentally agile that if, the buzzer goes on, the bell goes on at 2 in the night, you have to go and, you have to be on the ground doing all different type of tasks the seniors tells you to. You have to go and in that darkness there, I did make a commitment to myself. And my first jump, though the lifeguard was there, because my instructor took permission from the lifeguard. The first jump that I really did, I was supposed to jump from 5. But then, I did jump from 7.5, my first jump, and it was at, in the dark, 3:30 a.m. or something in the night. And I was like, let it be. Let me jump. Let me be. So that is how you fight your fears. So from a person fearing like hell, height, and being into the armed forces, that fear, letting go of that fear, an Air Force officer can't be fearing height. No, it cannot happen. So yes, you have to let go of all your fears.
Got it.
And I might have somehow shown this fear during my different tests in academy, but yes, while they were testing me for SSB, my other traits would have shown, yes, this is a very minuscule part, that I can overcome with my willpower, with the kind of a person I am. So that's what I was telling, that the candidates should not think that if we can't run, no, we'll not be able to survive in academy. It is not like that. It's your willpower. So first and foremost, let go of your mental blocks, all of them, and just give 100% of yours to achieve that dream, seeing yourself in that Air Force officer's uniform.
Got it, ma'am. Ma'am, if you could also tell us, your journey after the academy.
Being a, fighter controller, we had no idea what fighter controlling branch is all about when the merit list was out. And because we've taken administration as first, logistics as second choice. And when I cleared my SSB, from my SSB, we were just 2. And I also cleared my medical in my very first attempt. So, we really didn't know, even most of the candidates who are applying, they don't know that there's some operational branch called as ATC, so still students know. Fighter controlling, before this Vinko Abhinandan's incident that had happened, wherein Scholar Minty, she's a fighter controller. She was controlling him from ground. Only then, the aspirants started knowing, yes, there's something called as, there's a branch called fighter controlling also. Before that, at our times, we didn't know. I passed out in 2006. So then the segregation, when this happened, the branch that was given to us was Adam FC. That is core branches administration. My parent branch is administration, and my sub branch is fighter controlling. So first 6 months with all the cadets, we were there in academy. We did the basic administrative branch training, which was basically not theoretical. More of it was all practical, on ground physical fitness training, and learning all the basic subjects like writing MSD, how to military writing skills, general, basically to bring a balance in a candidate between subjectivity and objectivity, because being an officer in defense can't just be about objectivity. So after the basic 6 months training, we as fighter controllers, there were 2 branches in the administration. One was fighter controlling, one was ATC, air traffic controllers. So air traffic controllers are trained in Air Force Academy only, because the ATC training happens in Air Force Academy. And we went to there's this ADC, Air Defense College, which is there in Memora, Lucknow. So we set off out of, we were 15 who went there. So that is how the segregation of administrative branch officer happens. In our time, there was no pure Adam branch, but now there is pure Adam branch also. So there are three branches. One is pure Adam. So those who take pure Adam, they continue for another 6 months doing the Adam training only. And then there's this fighter controlling and ATC. So we went there in Memora to Memora. So apart from the physical training that happened as it was, there we learned fighter controlling, which is a operational branch, and you have to study radar systems, you have to study about fighter aircraft. So since I did my 12th, I had math, I had PCMB. So I could still somehow relate, but I still remember they were, cadets at that time in my group who were arts graduate also. Like I was also arts, but I did 12 PCM, but they have not. So for them, it was a little difficult. But then, the instructors are very good, and it's all about your mental aptitude. You can learn anything and everything. So then, how you feel aircraft appears like a dot on the console. That time they were CRT console. Now though it's like computer systems they appear as aircraft, but when we started our training, it was those CRT consoles were there, round red consoles, and aircrafts used to appear as dots. And there we learned combat, how fighter controllers do combat in air when they are controlled from ground, because fighter controllers are eyes to the fighter aircraft were flying in air. Because a fighter aircraft, however, even Su-30s, they have limited capability. They have, they're very, one of their kinds equipments, the aircrafts, but still, they can see to a limit. The equipments can, they have a limited sight. They can't see the entire area. The scanning is limited. The zonal scanning is limited. So that is how the combat happens. Basically, it's a close coordination between the fighter pilot flying in the air with his systems on board, and the fighter controller sitting controlling from ground.
Okay.
So it's a joint effort.
Got it.
So that is we learned there. And very less candidates know about this branch, but this is those who really want to be into the operational branch and can't become a pilot. And this is also a very, very interesting, field to join as an officer in Air Force, because there you'll be doing the combat training.
Got it. Ma'am, if you could also tell us, as a fighter controller, how does your one day look like in terms of roles, responsibilities, and routine?
Okay.
Any
as an officer?
Yeah.
As an officer, yes. As an officer, during the very initial days, the morning flying, you have to be there in the ops room. We call it operational room, where the radar system is there. For a fighter pilot, the briefing starts similar time, dawn time, we call it, 30 minutes before the sunset. That is how the day starts. We reach the ops room, we see the optimization of the radar, that my system is fully optimized. It's working to the best of its capabilities. Simultaneously, in the hangar operational room, the conference room, the pilots are preparing for their morning briefing, that what are the sorties are going to be. Basically, they in fighter controlling, apart from the air defense controlling, the entire airspace has to be controlled. Just I'll briefly want to explain this concept, that any aircraft cannot enter the Indian airspace without permission. So it's not only about fighter aircrafts. Even a civil aircraft cannot enter the Indian airspace, or aircraft getting airborne from one particular sector cannot enter another particular sector within India without permission. So that is called air defense clearance. Those all permissions, clearances are given by fighter controllers sitting in the operations room. There's one branch called as Movement and Identification Center. So entire airspace is observed. It's seen that the movement, n number of aircrafts flying, they all have permission, authorized sorties. So that is one aspect of being a fighter controller. The first training starts as movement and identification officer. Any aircraft flying, and not only aircraft, now drones are there, fighter aircraft, transport aircraft, helicopter sorties, everything has to have clearance. because ATC is responsible only for takeoff and landing and 25 nautical miles around the runway, around the tar, ATC tar. Beyond that is air defense job. So that's called aerial security. Even anti-hijack operations, they all fall into this particular arena. So that's why I said it's very interesting. So we start our day at dawn. The day is divided. It's a 24-hour job. So we have shift systems. So there are movement and identification officers. There are one sitting on the radar who will be controlling the local flying, because I said nothing moves without permission in air. So everything is to be observed, right? And then there is called as IND, interception director, who will be practicing for the interceptions. The more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. So that practice, that training has to go on. So as a fighter controller, the day starts in that dark room, I will say. It's the lights are dim. Mostly they are underground. And it starts with we sitting, taking over live aircraft flying. That handing taking over is not of the equipment. The handing taking over, in fact, is the aircraft flying in air. They are handed over on ground from one controller to another controller. So that is the level of, responsibility for a fighter controller. That even the duty handing taking over is about handing taking over the weapon systems, handing taking over the aircrafts who are flying, handing taking over the clearances. So that is the level of, commitment that is required. And a fighter controller sitting on chair cannot be, cannot just leave. It's not like, you go for a stall and come back. You're controlling live aircrafts. So if a replacement is to become, you have to go, a replacement needs to come. And a replacement, you can't just hand over the RT set and move. No, you have to hand over the entire thing. So that is the level of commitment for a fighter, in a fighter controller's life. So that is how a day is like. Generally 8-hour shifts are there that include, movement identification, practicing for different kind of interceptions or new kind of combats. There's a lot of briefing, there's a lot of debriefing, and at time it extends. And then there are night duties. Yes, operation branch has night duties, because till the time there's flying going on, a fighter controller has to be there in the ops room. It cannot happen without that. So that is how it is.
Got it, ma'am. Got it. Ma'am, you have served in Indian Air Force for around 14 years. If you could tell us any 3 life lessons that you have learned from Indian Air Force, which you still cherish. Any 3?
Yes, I have spent, close to 14 years into the Air Force. And I would say that most of the life lessons that we learn being an officer in Air Force or in armed forces, none of the management institutes can actually teach you that. It makes you a different person altogether. So yes, if I have to quantify it in 3 broad areas, the first will be, remembering this very fact, that the more you sweat and peace, the less you're going to bleed in war. So this particular life example, or this particular lesson, it goes in any scenario, goes well, it blends well in any scenario, be it a student's life, be it a corporate employee's life. Like for example, during the COVID situation, the entire country, it was in a state of shock. We at armed forces also, we were, but how we were able to bounce back very fast was because we are prepared for anything and everything happening. So adaptability happened very fast. Like in the civil area, we also faced issues of groceries not coming on time. We had to close down our gates. But since we say the more you sweat and peace, that means we were prepared. We had our backups. We closed down n number of times. During Balakot we did, because security, during Pathankot we did. So yes, the more you are prepared for any kind of scenario you might have to face in life, the best are you're going to perform. So in fact, defense officers, or people of the defense forces, the gravier the situation is, the more it's visible there. Examples, be it Pathankot attack, Balakot, Uri, we've bounced back with all our might. So if this one lesson everybody wanting to join defense or not remembers and engrills into their psychology, It's going to change lives forever, right? So that is one. Second is stop sweating the small stuff, you know. Don't think about all those small, start complaining about all those small little things in life. As you know, there's no par today. Oh my God, I'm drowned. You know, I can't get my favorite cake today. Oh my God, what has happened in life? I didn't get a particular raise in my appraisal. No, there are bigger things in life. Look at the bigger picture, you know. And this particular lesson we've learned, you know, when I was there in academy, you know, we used to get 2 minutes for having, initially, for having our meals. And I am from a family, I'm from Haryana, so we love our food. From loving our food to having parathas with butter and curd, and then having, you know, our shakes and all, to having whatever is there in 2 minutes. Most of the time we used to get up without having food. So when first time I was called, we were called for feedback after first month. So my instructor, he called me, you know, the mess in charge and the instructor, they called me. He was like, Megha, why women, any feedback? So I was like, so we're not getting food, we don't get biscuits in time, we don't get tea in time. Then he told me that, but your physical fitness level, you know, your endurance and your agileness is far better than what it was a month back. So how is it happening? And then I realized this, I learned in the very first month that, we in life, if we stop complaining about small little things and start focusing about the bigger challenges, bigger development that are happening, even within our own bodies. I was not getting the sufficient, I was not eating because I'm not finding it tasty, but then still I was compensating it, eating something else. I started eating more fruits. I used to keep fruits in room. So, instead of complaining, if we start focusing that within the resources, how we can be best, achieve our best happiness. That lesson, it changed my thought process forever. That's very important. That's very important. Anyone, even if we start teaching it to our kids these days, they'll become different individuals when they grow up. And third, very important lesson that I would say is adaptability. How you can adapt to a particular situation, as per a particular situation. There is diversity in armed forces. People are, there are cadets from Haryana, Punjab, South. They're not allowed to talk in their own common language, their native language. They're not getting food that they get at their hometowns. There is nothing called as speciality of a place. We're all Indians. We're all part of the defense services. So you have to adapt as per the situation. If you have to go do a camp in tent, you have to adapt, and there is no time given. Okay, we will go for one day. We will see how we'll be able to manage here or not. It's so hot. We have to dig our own tents. There is a proper tenting session, right? When we picked up the gun for the first time, INSA's rifle, when we did picked up for the first time, we were not mentally prepared. That this is how a rifle looks like. Most of us had never seen a rifle, and then we were there shooting it. We were there in almost a jungle. It was not an actual jungle. It is a created one for training, yes, where we go for camping sites and all. But then it's all a mental block. We all have adaptability within us. It's just we don't want to adapt. And to add on to this, I'll also say that it made me solution oriented. This is one very important lesson that I've learned as a Air Force officer is I have become solution oriented. Issues we all will face, problems we all will face, right? But instead of seeing the problem, in my life, in my personal life, and most of the defense officers are like that, we look at the solutions. Okay, a problem has come. It's a very grave problem, life and death situation at times. But then what is the way to come out of it? How are we going to solve it? And the moment we migrate to this level of being solution oriented, most of our life's problem will not solve, but they'll become easier to handle.
Okay, got it.
Yes, this is what I could just summarize out of what I learned all these years being part of the Air
Got,
Force.
got
Yes.
it, ma'am. Ma'am, in armed forces, we have both, permanent commission and short service commission. So if you could tell us, what are the opportunities for those officers, who come out after their short service, probably 10 or 14? What are the opportunities in the corporate or the civil world? Some of them probably can become an entrepreneur as well. So if you could detail about that as well.
Yes. Okay. So most of the short service commission officers, there are two options. Either you can leave at 10. That's 10 years is the minimum tenure that you have to serve. Extendable up to 14. Certain officers like me, they extended to 14. And then there is, though it's a competitive process, it's a proper competitive process for getting a permanent commission. It's not that, okay, I want permanent commission, I'll get it. No, you'll have to show that performance all through these years, like, kind of appraisals that are there in the corporate sector. So you have to show that performance level. There are the bare minimum criteria to get the permanent commission. So for those who don't want to, for different reasons, for want to leave armed forces and join the corporate sector, there are a lot of opportunities. But one thing I would want to tell all those short service commission officers who want to go and explore the corporate world, the civil world, the development sector, the opportunities are, many. We can't even think that, these many opportunities are there, but we have to be prepared. We have to select the core sector that we want to work into, that selection, starting from that selection to upgrading our skills, because a different kind of a skill set technically is required for serving the armed force. But when we have to join the corporate sector, for example, or we have to join the development sector, or even if we want to become an entrepreneur, yes, we get a different kind of an independence there. But that skill set, that requirement of the sector, that development is very, very important. Like, I have joined the development sector. I've joined this organization called Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. Here, what I'm doing is exactly what, being an administrative officer, have done. I've raised this organization from I was the first hiree. They had people on deputation and secondment, but as a civil hiree, I was the first hiree, and starting from a single, employee to now an organization that has 40 people, including positions, closing positions at director level, starting from a 2-room office, temporary office, to now having 2 floors in CP, and a fully fledged running operational organization with all policies, everything in place. So that is one, single-handedly, yes. I mean, I had a very small team. Now I have a big team. But then, all this I could do because one is I was prepared. I had chosen my sector. But the competitiveness is remains same. We have all the qualities. We can handle pressure. We can mold ourselves, become adaptable. But the only factor that I would see, because now I get resumes, officers wanting to leave Air Force and they want to join. The one thing that I would want to advise on to, though, people can take it if they want. What I felt is required is that you have to be prepared what you want to do, because we have done so many diverse things all through our lives of 10 years, 14 years, but you have to be prepared. Like, if I'm controlling a fighter aircraft, I'm not going to do that in the civil world, right? But yes, that what I learned there is the skill, how to handle pressure. That will come handy into when we prove ourselves in any corporate sector. So that is how it is. And Adam, okay, I'll just tell you what are the opportunities. Administration, the key segments are administration, HR. What HR we do in armed forces, the corporate HR is a little different. So all those who want to make their career from the armed forces, want to go into HR, is that do certifications, upgrade the skills, because HRBP role or generalist role, what is there and required in the corporate sector is different than what we do in armed forces. In armed forces, people are hired and we are given, they're given to us, and we have to groom them, train them, their appraisals. But no, here if you have to hire someone, it's a different process altogether. You have to understand the need of the sector, the need of the organization. So I think if an officer wants to join HR, yes, you have to upgrade your HR skills as per the need of the sector. Administration, facility management. Administration and facility management are very in. Supply chain, operations management, and supply chain in big e-commerce companies is very in nowadays. In Amazon, Flipkart, we see a lot of officers sitting as operation in the operations management field. So basically it is running the operations of a facility center or a sortation center, you know. But it's good if you can do supply chain, management or operation. Small certifications, universities like Nursi Monji and all, they provide courses. But again, you have to upgrade your skill as per the need of the, because aviation is not what you're doing in the corporate. So we have to unlearn a bit to learn something new and adapt into something new.
Got it.
That is.
My next question is about the leadership. What does leadership mean to you, and how did Indian Air Force help you groom that quality of leadership? Yeah, because as a young officer, when you join, you will have men under you who have more experience than you, probably age double the experience that you ever had. So how do you handle men, and what does leadership mean to you?
Leadership is everything when you are there into the armed forces. You have to lead, and the first alphabet of lead, it starts with listen. I can't just go and I'll say that I'm leading by example. You march like I'm marching. You perform like I'm performing. This is all secondary. First and foremost, very important aspect of being a leader is listen. You have to listen to your men. I never faced this problem of, I had my assistant adjutant. When I was adjutant, my assistant adjutant was almost, yes, he was almost, his experience was more than my age and he was double my age. But again, you have to give that respect to earn that respect. Yes, you're wearing that uniform that you command that respect. But wouldn't it be better that if you earn that respect rather than commanding that respect? So this difference. Real leaders lead by example, and leading by example, what is most important is, listen and engage. After L comes E, engage. Engage with your team as a leader. As a leader, you should know, call your people by name. Don't show that they should feel connected. I always, mostly, even I had bigger teams also, hundreds, more than that. But then I always made it a point. I always, keep telling me, even now, I should know what is happening with any of my team members. If any of my team members, or, when I was commanding M, and that why are they behaving when disciplinary issues used to come? My first question used to be, okay, I want to listen why you did what you did. And then we'll come on to what disciplinary action is to be taken. Right? This is called engagement. You're supposed to know. Right? And then comes, yes, you have to have, you have to be tough at times. You have to develop, you have to grow along with your team and all those things. But these two important aspects of being a leader are very important. And trust me, any leader, if having empathy is a part of being a leader. Even listening to someone, not having empathy, still you have to know your team. Okay, and earn respect rather than commanding respect. This is also very important. Even in corporate sector, I'm getting the same respect that I was getting in Air Force. I was told it's going to be difficult. You're going to have seniors who might be lesser in age than you are. Thankfully now it's not the case with me, because I report directly to the DG, who is again an IS officer. But then yes, it happens and people find it difficult. But and my team members, they give me the same love from respect that I was getting. And this can happen, this is happening only because this lesson of leadership I had been following all my life.
Got it, ma'am.
So this is very important.
My final question to you would be, a lot of defense aspirants will be watching this interview. What will be your message to all of them who want to join the armed forces, be it Army, Navy, or Air Force?
So first and foremost, join armed forces if you have passion. Okay. Take it as a career opportunity. Yes, the money is good. But if money is only the driving factor, okay. Today, if any of the student doing 12th, 10 plus 2, will not get the same package that a defense officer would. Yes, at such a young age. But if money is the only factor, and it's not having that passion into it, the success is not going to come. A candidate might clear SSB but will not be able to sustain, you know. So one, first and foremost, all the candidates who want to join Air Force have that passion. And a passion is not, it's not required that you naturally have that passion and then only, no, you can get motivated, you can develop that passion, you know, have that urge to serve the nation. Or you don't have to pick up the guns and fight on the borders to serve the nation. A good logistics, you know, maintaining a supply chain for the ones who are fighting with guns on the borders is also serving the nation, right? Keeping the, keep getting the families getting the ration when the entire station is locked, maybe during COVID times, if everybody getting medical facilities, that's also service to the nation. So don't have that feeling that, you know, if we can pick up the guns and fight at the borders, then only we are serving the nation. No. But in any case, in any branch you want to join, any ways you want, you have that passion, and with that passion the process will become easier. Second is, don't fall prey to these, I wouldn't say that don't take coaching, take, okay, it's okay, you need that kind of a guidance, but take it from an authentic source. What I've seen over all these years is, you know, students lose onto their chances because they're not guided well. You know, again, as I've covered in the beginning, if you rectify the entire stories, you are going to show that you don't have those traits, right? So naturally the traits can be built, they can be developed. Honesty, integrity, these are the parameters that has to be a part of your personality, which you have to join forces. Now all of a sudden I can't make someone, you know, no one can make someone honest. Having high level of integrity, that's inbuilt. But apart from that, about adaptability, social connect, you know, even leadership traits, all the leadership traits can develop, but you have to have that kind of a passion to make those changes in the personality. So don't take SSB lightly. That is one. Clearing written is, there are two tests if you want to join armed forces. One is subjectivity, that is tested through the written part of it, and second is objectivity. And objectivity would need a different kind of a dedication and preparation altogether. Don't take it lightly, because, you know, students then lose onto their chances. See, there are a lot of study material, there's a lot of videos on use. Go to the authentic sections, right? Even I'm more than willing, even on LinkedIn, students approach me, ma'am, we want this guidance. I do that willingly, but then take it from an authentic source. Okay, know what all are the requirements, do an assessment, self-assessment. Do you really have that? Again, the reasons have to be clear, bache. For all the aspirants, reasons have to be clear. Only money should not be the factor. That's my advice. If you really have that passion, then only, you know, want to dream. You can dream, but then only, you know, go out and prepare and attempt for that career into the armed forces, because it's a very passionate career. You have to have that fire within you. Otherwise, uh, I've seen good students leaving middle of the training, so it shouldn't happen, you know. And even officers leaving after a year or two in the forces, that no, we can't take this pressure.
Got it.
These are and be prepared, be prepared, be prepared for the objectivity that is being tested, because the system of SSB is it's foolproof. Whatever is required. And as I've told earlier, that if you don't have a particular trait that is being tested, yes, there is a benefit of doubt that is also given, that is tested in through some other test, that yes, this candidate can adapt, can change, can develop. But at least show those skills during the SSB, show that willingness, show that fire, show that maturity, that yes, if I don't have a trait, I'll develop it.
Got it.
That's also very important.
Got it, ma'am. Yeah, thanks a lot, ma'am, for your time on this interview. There was a lot of things to learn from the interaction that we had, especially the part where you covered the fighter controller role and, you know, what do they do and what's their importance. All of that probably will help a lot of aspirants, you know, join in as a fighter controller, probably after watching this video at least. So thanks a lot, ma'am, for all the information that you have given us. Have a nice day, ma'am. Jai Hind.
You too, Akash, and thanks for giving me this opportunity wherein, you know, I can actually come and tell the aspirants that yes, there's what is required and how you can, achieve what you want. Thank you
Thank you
so
so much.
much. Have a good day. Bye.